Hello and welcome back to Interjections. Lazio nil, Inter 6. What on earth is going on? Craziness. We're going to talk about it. I'm your host, Andrew. Jay, Miko, and Irfan with me. I need to start off by acknowledging something we missed almost 10 days ago now. Jay, happy belated birthday.
Thank you. I've entered a horrendous age range. I call it the Acerbi, Mkhitaryan, Darmian, Sama kind of age range. I can see why these guys are clinging on with every morsel of strength that they have left to whatever tiny bit of youth still remains in their husk bodies. And I feel the same way, so I'm kind of approaching the Miko viewpoint where I kind of sympathize with them a bit more. And I'm like, if Summer puts in a bit of a old man performance, I'm like, no, no guys, he did okay. He did well for his age, so that's kind of me right now. So thank you for the birthday wishes.
Speaking of someone with no youth left to cling to, Irfan, how's it going?
Wow, that's a great intro. No, doing well. No complaints. I'm glad that the team listened to me and put forth a compelling performance as we had demanded on the podcast. So, yeah, at least we don't have to basically complain for an hour on the show, and we'll talk about some maybe slightly positive things.
Well, you did demand a Lautaro goal.
This is why Irfan lives vicariously through Aslani. It's
yeah.
He sees some of himself in this young Albanian, and he's kind of decided to pin all his hopes on this 21-year-old kid.
It's true. It's ragtag, young and eager boy.
That's right. Against all odds.
Yes.
In the face of Turkish adversity.
It's a great story, really.
Miko, how's it going?
What can I say? Title winning performance by Inter, but I'm sure we find a lot to criticize about, so I'm ready.
Miko understands the brand of this podcast. I was stunned yesterday by the end result of the match because when you watch the first 35 minutes or so of it, there was actually absolutely no indication we were going to have such an easy walk in the park against Lazio. I wouldn't call it end-to-end stuff because it's not like it was that gripping in the first 30 minutes of the match, but both teams had possession. Both teams had moments where they had the opponent pinned back. They were passing the ball around. They were creating dangerous chances, and it felt very balanced. And there was nothing in it that made me believe that, okay, we're going to go on and just dominate this game. I thought we were very sloppy in possession, easily giving away the ball. And Lazio, too, there were just many instances where, okay, you have a sequence of possession here. A bad pass leads to you turning it over. The other team sprints out on the counter. Lazio actually had the best chance of the first 40 minutes or so, I'd say, when they had Ravella chip in that ball that Lazio had the point-blank shot that they sent over. So wasn't expecting anything of the like when we had that crazy sequence at the end of the first half where you have the Lautaro finally makes firm contact on something when he squarely kicks Gigo in the face, but it's all for naught because we had won a penalty before he kicked him in the face. Hakan converts it as Miko successfully predicted in his match prediction. And from there it was game over. We grabbed one more before the break. You're going up 2-0 and you're feeling pretty good about yourself. And then those wheels fall off Lazio. They make some subs. So they don't have any center backs left on the pitch. They're playing 4 wing backs across their back line. And they defended like a team with 4 wing backs across their back line, just bleeding chances. And from that point on, it felt like a proper domination. They were pinned back. We were creating all the chances. We were having all of the ball that we wanted to. We were just scoring for fun. So, Jay, what do you think went so right yesterday that just enabled us to have such an easy performance in what really was a tough, meaningful game against a team who's been in great form?
I think that was, in a way, one of our best performances of the entire season. And not only because of the scoreline, but I thought some big players put in some really big performances. Calhanoglu, for example, was given the Man of the Match award. And I think, well, obviously it was partly due to his goal and assist. But when I look around the team, a few players had exactly that, a goal and assist. DiMarco had a goal and an assist. Dumfries had a goal and an assist. In my opinion, it was Dumfries, but in any instance, as mentioned, some really big performances from some of our key players, all just coinciding at the same time, and that overwhelmed Lazio. I think the timing of our goals was basically the coup de grace, the killing blow that ended Lazio. The fact that we got a quick 1-2 right before the break really stunned them. Obviously, the penalty came from a set piece to begin with Dumfries winning a header and heading the ball onto Gigo's arm. And we scored just a few minutes after the penalty, if I'm not mistaken, through another Dumfries involvement, this time putting in a great floated cross over to DiMarco. And I just want to touch on that cross quickly because this is the kind of thing I've been talking about regarding Dumfries for quite a while now. I'm seeing a real development in his game. He's always been a bit of an overlap merchant, for lack of a better description. You kind of play him down the flank on an overlap, and then he just cuts the ball back low or drives the ball across the face of the goal. That's his kind of thing. And it wasn't an easy cross that Dumfries made yesterday to DiMarco. He had to kind of chip the ball delicately, making sure it landed or making sure it cleared Lazio's final defender, Maricic, and landing at DiMarco, who was on the overlap. And that's not the kind of thing we're normally used to from Dumfries. So I've said this before, but it's great to see him really expanding his arsenal of crosses and attacking weapons. So in any instance, we scored 2 quick goals right before the break. That's a massive blow to any team. And then, as mentioned, we got another goal at fantastic timing soon after the halftime break resumed. And admittedly, Barella's goal, as fantastic as it was, you wouldn't call it like a high XG chance, but his quality shone through in that moment. Obviously, anytime you score a golazzo like that, there's a small degree of luck involved, because if Barella tries that shot 10 times, then maybe 2 of them go in, maybe 1 of them goes in, who knows, maybe 4 of them go in. The point is, those shots don't go in more often than they do go in. So we had the fortune of scoring from a great outside of the box worldie just after the second half resumed, and I think that effectively killed the game off. If that goal had not gone in, for example, and the score had remained at 2-0, I think it would have been a bit of a harder game with Lazio pressing us in the second half. But as mentioned, I think the Barella goal really took the wind out of their sails, and from there on out, it was more or less plain sailing. I think Lazio were defeated, deflated, and we took full advantage of that. As mentioned, for me, Dumfries was man of the match, but obviously a big shout out to basically every player not named Lautaro. Big performance from DiMarco, as mentioned. Mkhitaryan really showed why he is the most played or deployed outfield player in our entire squad. I was actually researching some Mkhitaryan metrics or stats, some KPIs, if you will, prior to recording, and he's in quite a high percentile for what they call, quote unquote, progressive carries, right? And you see it in the way he plays. We've mentioned this countless times, how his biggest strength is just picking up the ball at the halfway line and just running it forward 20, 30, 40 meters and laying it off to someone. And yesterday, when Lazio kind of was stretched and some space opened up in the second half, we saw Mkhitaryan doing that incessantly. Just kept picking the ball up, driving at the Lazio defense. Obviously, that culminated in him assisting thuram for the 6th goal, but he was like the glue that kind of carried our attacking shape together in one unit, I felt. And then on top of that, you just had overall sound performances from the rest of the supporting cast. Bastoni, big assist for Dumfries. De Vrij did his job fine. Everyone just played really well. All in all, like I said, one of our best performances of the season.
The crazy thing, you mentioned Barella's goal, but and it not being quote a high XG chance, but really none of these goals, especially in the second half, were like clear goal scoring opportunities. Like Augusto's goal was absolutely ridiculous. Just the amount of skill required to basically pass the ball forward to himself to give him a chance to spin around and score.
Griezmann-esque.
That's a great analogy. I was complaining last week that he's not involved enough in the attack, and then he goes and does that. It's like, all right, I see you, Augusto. The new head of hair still inspiring him. Dumfries' goal in the second half was it was interesting because there were a couple instances where Dumfries was just begging for the ball up high for a header. You could see he knew he clearly had a physical advantage over the Lazio left back. He knew he had, the physical prowess, the height advantage, and sure enough, like it wasn't even he, like just dominated him on that towering header. So, but yeah, none of these chances are high XG chances. These were great individual skill. They were great moments of just team play. All these goals had phenomenal assists attached to them. Everything was working. So, Miko, what was your favorite of the 6 goals?
Yeah, hard to say. They were indeed like quite extraordinary and indeed not too high XG, but I think I like the wing back to wing back goal the most. It was just at least it seemed that Dumfries knew what he was doing there, and the whole sequence of the goal was pretty nice. So I think I like that the most. Uh, I wanna quickly comment on the first half. When I was when I was watching the match, the first half, and it, I think it was more Lazio than Inter, like first half an hour or something, and it didn't it didn't feel too confident that okay, we're definitely gonna win this match, and it brought back to my mind the same matchup last season. It was maybe around the same time, maybe a bit earlier in autumn. We won Lazio 2-0 at Olimpico. And I was checking that it was almost kind of the same thing that they they kept the ball and were kind of in possession and were on top of the game for the first half an hour, and it didn't feel good back then. But then we get the goal at the 40th minute mark, and it was the same this time. And a year ago we won only 2-0, and it wasn't like a game over after that goal. But this time it felt like you said, or was it Jay who said it, that it felt that when we scored that penalty, Lazio kind of melted in that moment. It felt that they were they were or it felt maybe they felt that they were so much better than us in the first half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever, that when they conceded that penalty, it kind of changed everything in their heads, and then we scored the second goal, and then it really felt that it was over. Okay, it's never over if it's only 2 goals difference, but then happened what happened in the early second half. But the first half felt so much the same as last season, and even if the squad was a bit different back then, it was funny to notice how similar the matches were at that point, or till the 40th minute mark.
Yeah, I agree with you, Miko. I think the first half was a good display, but I don't think watching the first half anyone would have predicted that we would have ended up winning this match 6-0. I also liked the wingback performance a lot. I think Dumfries played exceptionally well. DiMarco just proves over and over again why he's one of our most important players and probably one of the best players in Serie A. And overall, the midfield really did its job. What was striking to me, because I saw some comments after the match online, and people were like, still waiting for Inter to perform like this in the Champions League. And going back to our last episode, I think this is exactly what I was talking about why Inzaghi's approach in the Champions League is so frustrating, because we're capable of playing this way. Like, if we play with courage, if we play with actual intent to score and to like get a result, there's not a lot of teams, I think, that can hang with us. Especially now that we've fixed a lot of the defensive issues. So this is what fans are talking about when they get so frustrated and disheartened about the way we approach the Champions League games. It's not even just the rotational element, but it's also just the mentality and the intent in which we go into those matches that's so frustrating. So it was really refreshing this time to see the team just like really go out there and play. And again, nothing was reckless. It wasn't like we were attacking, in some disproportionate or reckless sort of way. It was just we were playing our game. This is the way Inzaghi typically plays when the team is confident, when he's confident, and we get good results, like more often than not. That's been the staple of his tenure here at Inter. So that, I think, was refreshing for me to see. It's kind of what we had all called for after that disappointment in Germany. And the match was perfect. I mean, to me, the shout out goes to, a lot of the individual performances that Jay touched on. That Barella goal was just stunning, like just an amazing, amazing goal. Like, I feel like whenever he scores a goal, it's usually something pretty incredible. And this was, just like that. Mkhitaryan, I agree. Especially after the Champions League performance where he didn't really play. He came out and he delivered a great performance. So full credit to him. But, not to be the negative one, but I just looked at those goals and I kept thinking what Barella did, what Augusto did, even what Thuram did. I'm like, why is Lautaro not capable of doing that sort of stuff? Like, why does he just not have that extra bit of calm and quality to deliver some stunning goal from outside the box, or to like deliver some like deft touch in close range and then unleash a shot that isn't directly at the goalkeeper or outside of the target? Like, why is he just not capable of doing some of the stuff that some of these other guys do? Now, granted, I know they're not strikers other than Thuram, and they don't do it all the time. Like Barella doing it once every 4, 5, 6 games, Augusto doing it once every 10 games. It's not the same as a striker. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just frustrating to see that Lautaro doesn't have that little bit of quality. Like, if you need a goal and you need him to like take on a defender and unleash a shot from outside the box, or if you need him to like dribble around someone in the box with like some crazy touch and then just like find himself wide open and then slot the ball into the net, like, he's just not doing that. And it's becoming incredibly frustrating because like we're setting him up and we're setting the team up for those kinds of goals to be available, and he's just not delivering.
Yeah, it's telling that we left both him and Thuram in the whole 90 minutes yesterday, and for two reasons. One is I don't expect either to touch the pitch against Udinese, but also because we're just trying to get this guy a goal. We were scoring for fun, and Inzaghi surely thought that if he left Lautaro on the pitch, he'd be able to get a key contribution before the end of the match. And what's telling is he wasn't even close to scoring a goal yesterday. He had no great chances in the match.
He had zero chances. He didn't take a shot at all.
Yeah, he actually had a few bad passes on counters, which kind of took the bite out of them. There was one on the 12th minute that was particularly egregious. But yeah, it was a poor performance again from the guy. And there's no explanation right now for what's going on because we've seen him in goal scoring slumps before. Nothing ever this bad. And I really feel like we're at the point where we need to give the guy a couple games on the bench just to do a hard reset. That'd be my approach at this point because he's not playing through it. How long have we been going now where he just can't seem to pick things up? So we have a bit of a soft schedule here coming up with Udinese and Como and some other bad teams. So I'd just give him an extended Christmas holiday, turn things over to our new favorite player, Correa, and see what happens because we shouldn't need him. But Jay, your thoughts on Lautaro and his repeated no-shows?
Yeah, it's honestly concerning. I mean, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but I just, yeah, it sucks to say this after such a fantastic performance where everyone's got high spirits, and I'm now salivating at the prospect of playing Udinese in the Coppa Italia. As Coppa, obviously a game of lesser importance, but this is what a fantastic win does to you. It puts you in high spirits. It makes you want to see the team again and again and again and more. And I'd love to see Correa get another start, against Udinese. I want to see Zielinski play again. Even Buchanan for all I give a shit, right? Point is, hate to be a downer, but I just don't think the guy's really got that quality in him. He ain't got that dog in him, so to speak. It's fitting that recently we celebrated his 300th appearance in an Inter shirt, and I made a snide joke to one of my friends by sending him that Instagram post of Lautaro's 300 games, and I said, 300 times I've watched this guy and I still can't tell if he's any good or not. And I don't want to put words in other people's mouths, but I dare say that I think a lot of people probably harbor some kind of thoughts. There's still some kind of degree where you're wanting to be a bit more convinced by Lautaro than you really are deep down. Andrew, you mentioned a few episodes back that it really felt that he had, or everyone kind of felt like he had really turned a corner and really taken that next step up, like midway through last season when he was just on a tear, scoring against everyone. But then he kind of promptly followed that up with laying some eggs in the Champions League, really shitting the bed against Atleti when we needed him. And then let's not forget he kind of ended the season on a drought as well, right? He kind of stopped scoring once he got to like 25 goals. And that was like 3/4 of the season done. And ultimately, for example, Miko is right in saying he did his job to win us the title, and those goals were a enormous component in us securing the league so early. Yes, but fundamentally it does excuse him going on break, but why would he go on break? Why should he go on break? You know what I mean? And it's just an indication of, for whatever reason, he doesn't seem to have the ability to keep things up at a more regular level, and that drought or that patch of poor form has kind of extended all the way up to now, minus like a few sparks of reignition earlier this season against, was it Venezia he scored against and someone else, but by and large he's been very poor this season. And like I said, it just feels like to me it just feels like that kind of ugly truth just knocking on the door and refusing to go away, which is, personally, I just don't think Lautaro is like, a Lewandowski quality. I don't think he is like a Harry Kane kind of quality. I don't think he is like, I don't know, who's a world-class striker. There's not many right now, but I don't think he is like a prime Benzema level quality either. Is it unfair to compare him to these guys? Maybe. And to be honest, like, I always thought he was like a tier beneath them anyway. And, there's no shame in being a tier beneath Benzema. That's one of the best strikers of the generation, Benzema, Luis Suarez, whatever. Being a tier beneath these guys is nothing to be ashamed of. But these days I'm wondering if he's even a tier beneath that, because just the inconsistency is too much. The tendency to go missing in big games sometimes is too much, especially in Europe. And for me, it's always been a case of your eyes don't lie to you. I just, Irfan asked, why can he not do this? Why can't he just control the ball and do this? Why can't he, do what Barella did or what Carlos Augusto did? And the answer is simple to me. He just doesn't have those skills fundamentally. He's not a technical player. He's not he doesn't have physical gifts. Like, again, kind of fitting that there was like a tribute match for Adriano with Flamengo a few days ago, if not yesterday. And, people were leaving comments and kind of like celebrating the career of Adriano at Inter and Flamengo and stuff. And, people were looking back on the Emperor, a player of immense raw brute power, but also this fantastic class and grace and technique. And if you were to, and obviously Lautaro's had a significantly more successful career than Adriano. That's like an objective truth. But if you were to kind of like compare the raw attributes one by one, name me one thing that Lautaro is better than Adriano. Speed, hell no. Power, hell no. Finishing, I'd say no. Technique, definitely not. Dribbling, not. Like set pieces, definitely not. Pressing, yeah. Obviously, Lautaro is a modern striker, and Adriano's from a previous generation where the forwards were not pressing. But you get my point, right? Like Lautaro doesn't have these kind of inherent physical gifts or fantastic technique or skill or composure to kind of rely on. So that's what it is to me, and it kind of hurts to bring it up or to harp on about it following such a great team performance. But there's no point ignoring it at the same time, and I think it's prescient to bring it up in a season like this where for the first time in a few years it feels like there's this really interesting level of competition at the top of the pile. Despite what many haters would say, I still don't think Milan are done.
Oh, come on.
They're done. Come on.
Juventus is still undefeated. They just seemingly refuse to lose, showing true championship DNA.
They also refuse to win.
Or score goals.
That's also true. And then you've got like a kind of generational looking Atalanta who have somewhat of a team of destiny kind of thing. But ultimately, I think it's ours to lose, to be honest, as I think it's been ever since we won the Scudetto under Conte. Honestly, the fact that we've only won one Scudetto since the Conte season, I think, is an indictment on us, as it is as much.
What the fuck is this?
Praise to Napoli or to whoever else won it, but you get my point. Now we're trying to win the Scudetto. Now we're trying to build upon the platform of going to a European final and winning the title. And the players were saying, was it Bastoni or someone saying, I want that Champions League final back, I think it was, I can't remember who said it midweek, saying I haven't even rewatched the game since we lost it. I can't bring myself to do it. So the players have been talking about it. At a time like this, I guess I have to ask myself, can we rely on our captain to be the guy to take us there? And again, empirical evidence for me, eye test. Yeah, the answer is unfortunately no.
Like, I know Miko's gonna come to his defense, and I'll let Miko cook in a second. But one of the things that was so telling for me is I went back at the 6 goals we scored yesterday, and I said, if he's in average form, how many of those does Lautaro score? And I'm like, okay, maybe he scores the DiMarco one, maybe. If he's in great form, maybe he scores the thuram one as well. But outside of those 2 goals, I don't see him scoring any of the other ones. The penalty, nah. Barella, no. Dumfries, no. And Augusto, hell no. And so I just kept thinking, I'm like, even if he was in good form, maybe he scores the thuram goal and the DiMarco goal. But outside of those, I don't think he's capable of scoring the other ones.
Dudes, you are, what can I say? You are just so, I don't know, why do you need him to score so desperately? We just won a
Because he's
match.
getting paid 10 million.
We just won a match.
Inzaghi wants him to score so desperately. Why do you think he played 90 minutes yesterday?
Because he had to make the other subs. He had to take the defenders out. He had to take Barella out. I'm sure if those guys weren't injured, there were no yellow cards, he would have taken the strikers out as well.
I disagree. I think he was trying to buy Lautaro a goal against the down opponents.
You mean that instead of taking the guys with yellows out and the injured players, you think that he wanted to Lautaro to score rather than the most obvious reasons was that the Barella was like was
Combination of
injured.
factors. I mean, when Barella got hurt late, maybe that impacted his final sub. But I don't think he was taking Lautaro off yesterday. It was an easy opportunity to try and get him a goal.
Well,
We
anyway,
need to
that's just
we
a
need to build this
speculation.
guy's confidence. Like that's why we want him to
Yeah,
score.
of course. But I've been saying, as long as we score goals and Lautaro isn't scoring, it's not a problem if other guys score. We just had what 6 different goal scorers yesterday, and I don't see the issue. I agree with Jay that Lautaro is not at the tier of these best goal scorers at our time now, and well, at this kind of form, not even like one tier below. Yeah, I agree that. But the way Lautaro plays and the way Inter plays, to me, um, the reason why Lautaro might not be scoring as much is that he plays in a role which fits to our system. And like yesterday, he didn't got any chances. Other guys got the chances. He didn't got. But that's the system we play. It's not an automated system which produces same kind of chances so that our uh, attackers would always get the chances. I don't think Thuram got any chances yesterday, apart from the last goal, which was in the last 3 minutes or something, when he did a nice individual performance there or play there.
It's a
But
fair point. Fair point.
like he, okay, against Parma, Lautaro got few chances. He missed them. That wasn't great. But the point is, game to game, there isn't always chances coming up to Lautaro, because we play in a way that things evolve there, and other guys will get the ball and try get the chance to score. And at the moment, we score pretty regularly. Against Leverkusen, that wasn't the case, but in a typical Inter game, we score goals and we score them enough. Uh, I can see the point that we pay a lot of money to Lautaro, so he should be scoring goals, because that's what you get paid for. Like the goal scorers get paid the most, because that's the hardest part in football. Yes, but I think that's that's kind of the end result of last season. When he scored so much, we ended up paying him a lot. Maybe if he didn't score that much, we maybe would have paid him a little less. I don't know. But the way he plays for this team, and how he's the captain, he's the leader, and I think that's part of his game and his kind of impact to the club, why he gets paid a bit more than he maybe should in if he was like how do you say it,
In a
like
free
a
market kind of sense.
like a normal, like a so-called normal player. Maybe that plays a bit of a role in his like status at Inter. And I wanna point out one thing yesterday when Thuram scored his goal. It was the sixth goal. Lautaro didn't have a great game, yes, but he was the guy celebrating, having a smile, and having this celebration with Thuram, that and it at least looked like he was genuinely happy that Thuram got the goal. It was the sixth goal. He got none. Still, like, I don't know, is it almost 10 games now without a goal, or close to that at Inter, and still he's there. Like, I feel that he must have the pressure to score the goal, but at the same time he can enjoy when the team is doing well, and when his striker partner is doing well. And I just don't have issues with Lautaro as long as we are winning and we are scoring goals. But of course, I don't want to see I don't want to see like sloppy plays by him, or by anyone, of course, at Inter. Like we saw yesterday, what Andrew mentioned, or how he. I remember there were some other guys as well had this. I don't understand this very slow slow, poor passes. The same happened in Leverkusen. I remember it was calhanoglu, maybe Barella gave one, and it was really strange to see those kind of passes, like 2 matches in a row by several players. It was odd, but yeah, that's besides the points. That's that's the thing I don't like. Of course, I don't like that, to see that kind of thing. But in Lautaro's game, because he should be the leader on the pitch as well, and he should perform better in his general play, not particularly scoring. I don't feel that's a big issue at the moment. Maybe it's an issue when we have another Champions League knockout game coming up, and he gets chances like he got against Parma, and then he messes them up. That's an issue. So then he needs to be like on top of his game. But at the moment, I don't feel there's problems with Lautaro. Lautaro scoring, to be precise.
The only point I'm willing to validate from that argument is it is nice having a selfless player in attack who, despite the fact he's not performing his primary duty, I would argue, he's not a moper. He's not someone like Lukaku who is wildly gesturing at his teammates when the ball doesn't come his way. He's not one of these attackers who is berating his teammates for not passing him the ball. And I do appreciate that because things like that weigh on players more, it weighs on teammates more, it leads to suboptimal decision making and the selflessness that Inter play with as a team. We talked about 6 goal scorers yesterday, assists coming from players all over the pitch. A lot of that is enabled by having a striker who doesn't care who gets the glory at the end of the day. And that gives us a certain fluidity that having, once again, a Lukaku up top who demands service, who demands the ball, does not enable. But I
Yeah,
will just say that
yeah, that was precisely my point. That sometimes, or maybe even these days, it's almost like every other game. Lautaro maybe doesn't get the chances. He just moves there when, however, our attacking plays are evolving, and then he ends up getting the chance or not. But he is trying to do everything to so that we as a team score, not that he's scoring. But yeah,
I will
continue.
I will just say that there is another level this team is capable of. I think we saw this additional level at times last year. And the difference between Miko's and my perspective is that I am yearning for us to reach this next level. And if Lautaro was in goal scoring form this year, I think we could be talking about a team who is in one of the top 2 or 3 positions in the Champions League, a team who is picked up points against some of Milan, Juve, or Napoli, and as a result would have a bigger lead in the Serie A table or just a lead in general. Whereas I'm not saying Lautaro has cost us a season. We're very much still viable on all fronts, but there is another level we're capable of. We saw what that level was last year, and he's a big reason we're not quite at that level this year. Jay, go ahead.
I was just going to say, look, I think everything that both of you have said is correct. I think something that can't be ignored is just how long these down streaks or down patches last for Lautaro. We're talking months at a time, and this might be his longest one yet. Like going on from, like I said, the last 30% of last season until now, we're about, in terms of games played, like 40% through this season, almost halfway there. We're on the 17th of December as we record now. That's a long time to be out of form, man, especially as the linchpin of attack, especially as the captain, especially as the highest paid player in the team. I think that's a really big factor that maybe isn't being considered as much as it needs to be. Like, yes, the fact that he's still working for the team is obviously commendable, and those, I guess, positive kind of attitude things that you mentioned, he doesn't mope too much. He's grown up a lot in that sense. He's no longer like he's no longer prone to getting sent off like a clown like he used to be when he was, in his first 2-3 seasons with us. he's definitely grown up as a player, as a man, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I just can't. I just have a hard time kind of reconciling what is, again, in my eyes, like a kind of inherently, in some ways, rudimentary kind of technical player to the salary demands, as well as the long periods of poor form that seem inseparable with Lautaro, and the ambitions we're striving for. Can we win the Champions League or can we go to like another final, or get to that point where we're reliably getting into like the quarters and semis with a player like this? And again, have to go back to last season. Despite being in the form of his life, he still wasn't able to pull it together against against an Atleti team and things like this. So, and his overall record in the Champions League is not what you'd want for someone of the repute that Lautaro kind of at least hold himself in, having been self-admittedly disappointed with only 7th place in the Ballon d'Or. And I think objectively, yeah, he should have been like 5th or something. But for a player who wants to kind of hold himself at that point, at that standard, I guess I'd like to see more on the pitch. Is what it comes down to.
We're gonna get yelled at for this episode. I'm already anticipating the angry emails and listener comments we're going to be getting.
Calling the TV station, yeah.
Okay, well, I know we're kind of short on time this week, so let's go ahead and just dive into a quick Udinese preview for the Coppa Italia. Matches in a couple days. The winner gets to play Lazio in the next round. I assume we are going to make some sort of effort to win this match. We're not going to go full Conte, roll out the B team and lose the way he did to Lazio. My real preview takeaway I want to touch on this match is surely we are going to start Martinez, the keeper, in this match, right? Irfan, like it's time for him to play. It's time for him to give Summer a spell. Like if not now, when?
Yeah, I would hope so. Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I think it's time to see him. I want to see Correa. I want to see some rotation for sure. We should be able to handle Udinese without having to rely on the full set of starters. At least, that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, I think Inzaghi mentioned that Martinez will start this match. Then Barella won't play. I just saw a comment that he won't play, but yeah, I would hope that we would play like full bench guys in this one. And if I'm totally honest, I wouldn't mind if we just lost this like we did last season against Bologna. I really don't. I just want to have all our resources on 2 competitions at this point. So I don't really care if we end up like with zero tituli at the end of the season. I don't care. I don't care. We at least like put all the effort on the 2 main competitions. We've won enough Coppa Italias already and Super Coppas as well. That's my hot take for this one. Not too much interest.
That's definitely a hot take, Miko. I thought you'd be all interested in this, but I don't disagree with you. I think we've shown that we're very close to kind of getting into proper form in Serie A and kind of stamping our authority on breaking away from this pack. And then in the Champions League, I think we've seen the effects of a kind of tighter schedule and trying to figure out the right rotation and the right way to handle the team and fatigue, etc. So, part of it would be refreshing if we could get out of here and just focus on the 2 competitions. But I don't know. I feel like Inzaghi is going to make a play for it at least. And I think even with some rotation, Udinese should be manageable. And then the way we dominated Lazio, who knows? Like dominating Lazio in the Coppa might be reasonably likely as well. Obviously not 6-0, but something. So at least the first 2 matches in our path seem very doable. And then after that, like who knows where we end up. But yeah, I'm hoping Inzaghi will rotate, but I do think we should try, and I would like to see us try to win this match, and maybe get Lautaro a goal.
I would kind of veer closer to Miko's side of things, where I'd like start Buchanan in this match. I'd start Martinez, and you try to win, but if you don't, take solace in getting some of these guys minutes. I don't think Inzaghi will do that. He's going to go out and he's going to play pretty much his full strength starting lineup. I think the only item we can glean from the Lazio match is this is going to be a Taremi and Correa spot or a Taremi and Arnautovic spot, just based on Lautaro and Thuram both playing the full 90 against Lazio. Jay, do you care if we win this match?
Look, I won't lose any sleep over potentially losing the match, but I don't see any reason not to try and win it. Having said that, we should obviously rotate heavily. And look, Udinese are ninth, but they're going to rotate as well. Ironically, I think teams like Udinese care even less about the Coppa Italia than teams like Inter. I really do. And so I don't expect them to exactly put out their full strength lineup either. So all in all, the bench Inter against the bench Udinese, like, you kind of expect to win more so than like, do I want to win or do I think we should invest much? It's almost like no matter what configuration we put out there, we're kind of expected to win. You know what I mean? But like I said, it won't bother me tremendously if we don't. But yeah, to your guys' point, I'm not so convinced that Martinez will start unless Inzaghi has absolutely stated he will. As a matter of fact,
He stated it. He stated it.
I did. No, in that case, yeah, let's go. Let's go. Interesting to see what Joseph Martinez brings to our game, but it's about time he debuts, to be honest. But yeah, I just want to see the match utilized to its fullest as an opportunity to keep our reserve and bench players match fit. Inzaghi is a guy who doesn't like to rotate too much, all things considered. This is a chance to give like the second choice group of players some important minutes because they'll be called upon. I don't think Barella had a serious injury. I don't think Dimarco had a serious injury, but them coming down with cramps or even like minor strains is a big deal for us. So best to keep guys like Zielinski and Fratesi on their toes and match fit and ready to be called upon at a moment's notice. So yeah, in that sense, I want to see them play. I'm excited to see them play. I don't want to end like on too much of a downer because I know we went on a big downward roller coaster ride talking about Lautaro, but despite issues surrounding Lautaro and some ongoing debate about him, I think the trajectory that we're on recently has been very positive. I think in the last 8 or 9 games, we've only conceded 2 or 3 goals, which is a massive improvement over where we were 2 months ago. It feels like the ship is starting to stabilize, and I am getting a slight inkling that perhaps we're getting into that groove of that kind of machine that we were last season, right? Where we were just ticking games off, win after win after win after win, minus the mandatory loss against Sassuolo. But other than that, it feels like we're clicking into that kind of championship gear again. So positive signs. Hopefully Lautaro can fit into that groove and start to add his own flavor and add his own mark and stamp his own authority onto that because, despite criticisms I have at him, like I said, there's no shame in being a step or a tier beneath Benzema. That's still a pretty fucking high level to be at as a player. So if that's the level he is, so be it. I'm happy with that. And we can use a player of that caliber. And it's a perfect time for Lautaro to kind of ease back into things. And I've even read reports that Correa will be added to the Champions League squad in February. So hopefully, if a lot of expectation on his shoulders following one fantastic random game out of nowhere. But again, I want all the weapons we can get, and if players can rediscover themselves, then I'm willing to welcome them back with open arms. So let's go. Let's start with a big win against Udinese. I'm predicting a 2-1 loss. No, I'm kidding. I'm predicting a comprehensive win with our B side, and I think the good vibes will continue into the final fortnight of the year. And I'm going to say Correa gets a goal. I'm going to say Mkhitaryan gets a goal. And also, I'll give a goal to Damian for a 3-0 win.
I love how you just referred to Correa as a weapon and you were not being ironic. Miko, your prediction, please.
Yeah, despite wanting us to lose, well, just kidding. As this is played in San Siro, I think we're gonna win like 3-1. 3-1, and let's have 2 goals by Correa and 1 by Taremi.
This Correa hype is spiraling out of control for fun.
Yes.
Well, I do take some responsibility for starting the negative talk on the show after a 6-0 win, so I will try to redeem myself by talking about something positive, which is we will likely see an Asllani start, hopefully. So I expect a great performance from Asllani, holding down the midfield and playing really well. So I am also predicting a win, a commanding win, but I will go with a 2-0 win. And I will predict a goal and an assist from Asllani. So 1 goal for Asllani and 1 goal for Correa. The good times, the Correa good times continue to roll, my friends.
I will be the only person here to not predict a Correa goal. Give me a 2-0 Inter win with goals from Taremi and Asllani. Taremi needs to score almost as badly as Lautaro needs to score. I'm getting close to my breaking point with Taremi in terms of on-pitch contributions. So he's going to right the ship. He's going to get a goal against Udinese. And then unironically, Asllani is going to score because he's going to play the full 90 minutes and he's going to have a good chance. So we're all optimistic about Udinese. That's good. We have a nice soft landing spot on Monday as well with Como. So we should have a good run of form in us. Hopefully things pick up. Nico, you know what to do.
All right. See you. And Forza Inter.